My name is Jeff Morgan. I am from Dallas, Texas. I'm going to be discussing a bill that has been a long time coming, that we have needed to see somebody with a backbone do for quite some time. Now, this is actually, it's not a bill, it's a resolution, House Resolution number 238, and this is submitted by Brian Slayton. The resolution says this: whereas the House of Representatives of the Texas legislature has exclusive power to present articles of impeachment against a state officer under Section 1, Article 15, Texas Constitution, and Chapter 665, Government Code. And whereas Judge Mary Brown, and I would add corrupt Judge Mary Brown, but Brian is much more professional than I am. Corrupt Judge Mary Brown, judge of the 301st Judicial District, engaged in conduct constituting abuse of a child under Section 261.0011 Family Code and certain judicial actions involving custody of the children of Jeff Younger. And whereas Judge Mary Brown, or once again, corrupt Judge Mary Brown, judge of the 301st Judicial District, demonstrated conduct unbecoming a judge by violating the Texas Code of Judicial Conduct. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Texas House of Representatives impeach Judge Mary Brown, crooked Judge Mary Brown, judge of the 301st Judicial District, and be it further resolved that in accordance with Section 5, Article 15, Texas Constitution, Judge Mary Brown, corrupt Judge Mary Brown, judge of the 301st Judicial District, be suspended from the exercise of her duties of her office during the pendency of her impeachment, and that the governor may make a provisional appointment to fill the vacancy occasioned by the suspension of Judge Brown, corrupt Judge Brown, until the conclusion of her trial by the Senate on the impeachment charges. And be it further resolved that the House of Representatives of the 88th Texas Legislature conduct an investigation under Article 1, Section 15, Texas Constitution, and Chapter 665, Government Code, prepare appropriate articles of impeachment against Judge Brown, corrupt Judge Mary Brown, judge of the 301st Judicial District, and consider those articles for presentment to the Texas Senate. As I'd mentioned, this has been a long time in coming, and I want to thank Representative Brian Slayton, one of the very few people with a backbone in the Texas legislature, a man of principle, a man who will not flinch in the face of the hordes, a man who is going to do what is right, regardless of what other people think. I want to thank Representative Brian Slayton for filing this resolution to impeach the corrupt Judge Mary Brown. Now, as I've mentioned in the past, I have been involved and watched almost every case that I could in which Judge Mary Brown was presiding over the case between Jeffrey Younger, the father of James Younger and Jude Younger, and his ex-wife, Ann Georgelis, a pediatrician out of Capel. I was down there when the case was first tried in Dallas under Judge Kim Cooks. I was there for the entire trial until Judge Kim Cooks kicked me out of the courtroom because I was not, quote, media in her mind. So I was not allowed to watch that. And I do believe that that was in violation of the open courts doctrine, but I was unaware of it at the time, so I didn't do anything about it. And then later, I saw a lot of the things that happened with corrupt Judge Mary Brown, the judge who has ruled continuously against Jeff Younger. I believe that she is guilty not only of conduct unbecoming a judge by violating the Texas Code of Judicial Conduct, but I've reported her personally for child abuse. I have reported her to the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. I have reported her to the Texas Ethics Commission. And it's been such a shame to see that these agencies that are supposed to be there to help protect the public, to give the public confidence in the judiciary, have failed so miserably. The State Commission on Judicial Conduct has never done anything against her. And the Texas Ethics Commission, that I filed a complaint to regarding Judge Mary Brown, and I believe the complaint was very solid. It was a violation of the Texas Election Code. I don't know whether they found her guilty or not, but they do not convey such judgments to the public. I called them up repeatedly, and they told me that just keep filing your complaints, but we can't tell you a thing. So we have agencies that are supposed to give us confidence in our judiciary, and they do not. In fact, if anything, they undermine the confidence that we have in the judiciary. I'm one of the people that not only has no confidence in our judiciary, I have a negative confidence in our judiciary. Now, with regard to the case that Judge Mary Brown heard, she has been very abusive, and there's been one attorney in particular. Her name is Jessica Janisak. She is from the Kuntz Fuller Law Firm. I call her the child castration queen. She is a person who has been continually advocating for this child abuse that I believe Judge Mary Brown has facilitated, that will likely lead to the castration, the chemical castration of James Younger, a 10-year-old, who Judge Mary Brown let the mother move to California and take the kids with her. Judge Mary Brown put on supervised visitation on Mr. Jeff Younger, and Jeff would have had to see his child, James, dressed in girls' clothes. The only time he presented himself as a girl was when he was with his mother, and his mother, I believe, was engaged in brainwashing. When he went to school, the school also facilitated the mother's wishes. And when he went to school, even dressed in boys' clothes, as Mr. Younger used to take him, the school used to change him and put him in to girls' clothes. Made him use the girls' restroom. Why? Because mommy wanted this to happen. Mommy dressed him in stuff that made James look like he was a drag queen. James did not want to be seen like that by his father. He was embarrassed about it. He wanted to be a boy. He did not want to have his father see him looking like a girl. This moral idiocy, moral confusion has been given the stamp of approval by corrupt Judge Mary Brown. And therefore, I am very grateful once again that finally, somehow, after witnessing this abuse, watching the hearings on video camera, filing complaints against Judge Mary Brown, and nothing has happened. I'm glad to see somebody is finally doing something in this situation. By the way, even our Texas State Supreme Court really whiffed with this, with the exception of Justice John Devine. Justice John Devine was the lone dissent, the only person on the Supreme Court with a backbone, and a moral backbone, that said, no, this is not right. Justice Jimmy Blacklock, he wrote the opinion, which was concurred with by Justice Evan Young. Now, Justice Evan Young also worked with the Baker Botts Law Firm, LLP, right up until the time of his appointment as a Supreme Court Justice. Who is Baker Botts Law Firm? Baker Botts Law Firm actually has worked hand in hand with Lambda Legal to actually try to promote LGBTQ rights throughout the states. And when you think, well, they just want to protect people. No, I believe that these law firms are looking at this as the next source of revenue for them. Because if they have the state stating that somebody can be transitioned against the will of a father or a mother, or even both, that is going to lead to legal lawsuits, and it will lead to financial interest, financial gain, financial profit for these corrupt law firms. Justice Evan Young was a part of that law firm right up until the very end, and he concurred with Jimmy Blacklock. I believe that at the very least that he should have recused himself for the apparent conflict of interest. Conflict of interest is corruption. At the Texas State Supreme Court, Justice Evan Young, to me, appeared to have a potential, if not an actual, conflict of interest. A reasonable person would come to that conclusion, and therefore Justice Evan Young should have been recused, should not have stated that he concurred with what I thought was a horrible opinion by Justice Jimmy Blacklock. By the way, some of the things that were not addressed in that opinion is that Judge Mary Brown, the corrupt Judge Mary Brown, when she held the hearing by Zoom, she intentionally forbade the public from watching. I know, because I and at least probably 20, 30, 40 other people that I am aware of tried to watch this hearing, and she kept, and the person who was in charge of the court would not let us in. I believe it was by direct order of Judge Mary Brown, the corrupt Judge Mary Brown. We were given 3 different reasons. Couldn't even keep the reasons straight as to why we could not watch the hearing, which is a direct violation of the open courts doctrine. They intentionally did it. They lied to us. They exercised this injustice. Mr. Younger had an emergency case go before the Texas State Supreme Court, and the Texas State Supreme Court really blew it. In fact, they blew it so badly that I would almost like to see Mr. Slayton perhaps even write articles of impeachment against 8 of the Texas Supreme Court justices. That's how bad it was. Back in California, there was a Senator, Scott Wiener. He wrote a bill so that California would be a trans refuge state, especially for people that were under the abusive reign of Greg Abbott in Texas and stuff like that. They were going to be a refuge for trans people. Nobody knows what a trans person is. There is no trans genes, anything like that. Scott Wiener is a homosexual, and he wants to advance an agenda that goes against parental rights in many instances. And Governor Newsom signed this into law. So it turned out that Ann Georgelas, the pediatrician Ann Georgelas, the pediatrician who put her son up as a girl, dressed him up in girls' clothes, put him on her website at one point in time as a girl. She decided that she was going to move to California and start her practice there. The interesting thing there, once again, as well, was that she did this the beginning of September, and this was even before the hearing took place. There was a predetermined outcome in this hearing, and corrupt Judge Mary Brown was doing everything that she could to aid and facilitate this transgender crap that is taking place. I believe that attorney Jessica Janisak, the child castration queen, should also be investigated. I believe Kunstfuller Law Firm, which is one of the, in my opinion, one of the most corrupt law firms in the state of Texas, should be investigated for their roles and activities in this as well. But I just, again, want to thank Brian Slayton.